In this video, we're waving goodbye to 2023 and hello to the 2023 Tabletop Minions Awards. It was actually a bit difficult to pick winners for the Tabletop Minions Awards this year, partially because some of the things that I was thinking about for the awards didn't come out until later in the year, and I didn't really get much, if any, time with them, so I couldn't really gauge them as well as I would have liked. Also, I didn't really feel like this year was a banner year for tabletop wargaming. It wasn't bad, right? Just not much that really kind of sparked fire in me for 2023. Hopefully, 2024 will be better, and there'll be a ton of things to choose from a year from now. On to the awards, in no particular order. Our first winner of the 2023 Tabletop Minions Awards is a 3D sculptor that goes by the name of Knucklebones Miniatures. These strange and quirky figures, which kind of go from like fantasy to what one could reasonably call sci-fi, are unlike anything I've seen before, specifically in the 3D printing kind of STL space. When I first saw some of these online, I thought, oh, cool, those are like some really interesting kind of old school, hand-done sculpts. But then I saw that what they were, in fact, was computer files, STLs for 3D printing, and I was intrigued. Then my next thought was that they were maybe hand sculpted and then like 3D scanned at a very high degree of fidelity. I know that there are 3D scanners out there, but I'll admit I don't really know much about them and how high quality they can get. But as it turns out, that's not how these are sculpted either. They're sculpted in VR, like virtual reality, according to Matt Knuckles, the sculptor, who is trying to kind of mimic the older style of hand-done sculpting. The results, I think, speak for themselves. They're full of character and wit, and though they kind of have that old-school look, there's no mushiness to the details. You never go wondering, is that a pouch, or is that part of his pants, or what? None of that kind of stuff. Things are clear, but still have that sort of same kind of hand-done aesthetic. I really like them. The second of this year's winners isn't a specific company's product, and it's something that I've talked about in another video earlier in the year. It's a very simple thing that you can find all over the place, and it has completely changed how I paint my miniatures, technically. It's generally known as a silicone fidget popper, and they come in all kinds of shapes and sizes and colors. If you have kids, you might already have these things laying around your house. Or if you don't have kids, you still already might have them laying around your house. I talked about these things and some other products as well in my most popular video of the year, Pachow, and they really are spectacular. The little bubbles, the little wells, if you push them down, they are the perfect place to deposit drops of like washes and speed paints from dropper bottles, things that you generally don't want to put on your wet palette, and then you can just dip your brush in there and apply the washes or speed paints or whatever directly onto the model. It just makes it so much easier to use washes and speed paints in dropper bottles. And dropper bottles are my preferred format for that kind of stuff now. You can't knock them over and spill them. They rarely ever dry out or get gunk around the edges, all that kind of stuff. And they just work better. And since the fidget popper thing is silicone, right, then those paints, washes, whatever that you put in there won't stick to it, and cleanup is a breeze. If you can't find them locally to you, I've got an Amazon link down there in the description below. The next award goes to a product which is certainly not new, but it's something I think that all hobbyists should at least check out at some point, especially if you're trying to get good-looking, like weathered models to the tabletop for games, and you want them done quickly and easily. I've used it more again this year and will continue to use it on models both large and small in the future, and I might even try it on some terrain as well. So that's why I'm putting it in here. Streaking Grime Enamel Wash from Ammo by MIG. It's really just dead simple, and I've talked about it earlier this year as well in a video. Pachow. But you paint up your model with block colors using your normal acrylics or whatever. And when I say block colors, I mean no worries about like shading or highlighting or any kind of stuff like that. Just color in the parts of the model, blue pants, green shirt, whatever, that kind of stuff. And it also kind of helps to make the colors maybe a little bit brighter than you might think you're going to need, right? And once you've got all those things block painted in and the colors have dried, you just cover the model with this stuff via either a regular brush or an airbrush, depending on what the kind of the look is that you're looking for, or maybe what your workflow is. You let it dry for a bit, and again, this kind of depends on what look you're looking for, and then you just start wiping it away with cloth. Now, don't use paper towel because it'll rip and then you'll get bits all over it and stuff like that. So use some cloth, and then maybe also some white spirits, maybe some Q-tips, maybe some of those little makeup sponges, all kinds of stuff like that. There's lots of videos out there you can find on how to do this, but it all depends on what the look is that you're looking for. You will get grime, you will get shading, you will get definition, quick and easy. This next award goes to a new version / flavor of a skirmish game that I gave a TMA to last year. This game is called Kill Sample Process, the cyberpunk version of Forbidden Psalm by Kevin Rahman, aka Optimistic Nil or Optimistic NIL. I'm not quite sure. This game, which is again standalone, you don't need Forbidden Psalm to play it, but it's based off of the Forbidden Psalm rule set from, like I said, a few years back, is again a visual feast worth your time just to read and enjoy. But it's also a really fun and in-depth cyberpunk skirmish miniature agnostic rule set. You play with 28mm normal models, but you play on a pretty small board, like 2 foot by 2 foot, either solo, co-op, or versus. You have a crew of 5 that you play against the AI controlled enemies and such. And this rule set has added much more depth and crunch in comparison to Forbidden Psalm. Special crew members with specific roles, cyberpunk body modifications, more in-depth equipment rules, and it's just more game. You know what I mean? Like when you play small skirmish games, sometimes they can feel kind of light, and frequently that's exactly what I'm looking for personally. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm just looking for a light, fun rule set. But this game, through its depth and theme and crunch, really sets itself apart. If you asked me, hey, Uncle Adam, what miniature kit did you build the most times repeatedly this year? For some weird reason. I don't know why you would ask me. It's kind of a strange question to ask, honestly, but I don't judge. Anyway, the answer would be very easy, actually. And it's also the next winner on our list this year, the M4 Sherman medium tank kit from Warlord Games. I built 4 of them almost back to back to back, and they were honestly a real joy to construct, which I was building them for me and Vince's newest game called Tanks for the Apocalypse. It's in our new zine, Snarl. Again, this is certainly not a new product from Warlord. It's kind of a staple of the bolt-action line, and it's been around for a while. That said, I'd never built a 28mm World War II tank before, and it was a lot more fun than I thought it would be. After building them, I started to kit bash them to different degrees with simple stowage and things like that. But 2 of them are still in progress and may potentially show up in an upcoming kit bashing video soon. Those will be very, very kit bashed, and this great kit, as a base, will really help that process a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts while I build and paint minis. I need to be listening to something while I'm hobbying. Otherwise, it seems weird to me. I find I don't listen to too many hobby podcasts, however. Sometimes it's the quality, there's something about the production or whatever. Sometimes it's the subject, it's a game I don't play. Sometimes it's the personalities, but not too many hobby podcasts seem to keep my attention. This TMA winner, the Hive Scum podcast, has kept my attention and provided me enjoyment since I first learned about them at Adepticon back in March of 2023. Hive Scum is a reference to Necromunda, of course, but this group of guys, and it is a group, right? Usually there's 4 or 5 or more in the podcast. They play a lot of different games. They love Mordheim probably above all else, however. So much so that they're running the biggest Mordheim event in the world, the New England Mordheim Open, or NEMO. Again, this upcoming in January, actually, just this year. The conversations are all about kit bashing, cool game mechanics, DIY games and terrain, and sometimes music and cryptids and different things like that as well. They're a really nice, supportive group of dudes, and listening is kind of like sitting around hanging with a gaming group. Start listening. These last two things are more of a kind of coming soon kind of award, and they're both games. Games I have watched played both in person and in battle reports, and I own them now and look forward to building and playing them soon. One is Cyberpunk Red Combat Zone from Monster Fight Club, and the other is Judge Dredd from Warlord Games. I got Cyberpunk Red Combat Zone at Gen Con this year, back in August. I watched several different demo games in the booth and got to talk to some of the designers about like game concepts and stuff like that. It's a cyberpunk skirmish game played on a small board, about the size of a Kill Team board or so. And it comes with 2 teams in the main starter box and some like card terrain that's full color, like ruins and stuff like that. And there's a cool like hard plastic shipping container in there as well. There's also tokens and some dice and cards and stuff like that. It's a quick and smooth rule set with tons of like other gangs for you to choose from and other forces as well. You can, change your list out or play different forces, whatever you want. My models were about half built before layout for the zine, for Snarl, started in the fall. And so now that that's done, I want to get back to them now. Judge Dredd was a game that I ordered online recently after watching the 2012 Carl Urban masterpiece Dredd on some streaming service or other. I had seen it in the theater when it originally came out, and I used to buy the comics like way back in the day that, the movie was based on. I knew there was a skirmish game out there, but I didn't know much about anything about it really, After watching several bat reps, of course, from Guerrilla Miniature Games, I pulled the trigger and ordered the starter and a bit of terrain. I really like the asymmetrical play style. There's always more gangers than judges, which kind of makes sense. And the models are pretty nice too. So that's this year's Tabletop Minions Awards. Congratulations to all the winners. And if you think that they sound interesting, you should check them out. Links are down in the description below. These are my choices, right? But what do you think should have been on the list? What did I miss? Let me know, again, down in the comments down below. I hope you had a great year in your hobby, and I hope that you have a great 2024 as well. If you liked this video, please hit the like button to help me out and help the channel as well. It helps spread the word. Subscribe to see more videos every single Friday, and thanks for watching.